Coming up, I'm going to be talking about the return of 911, Abbott Elementary, and much more. We're also going to be talking about how Goosebumps is more popular than Loki and much more. But before we go any further, make sure you do hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest Disney Plus news. Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at disneyplus.com. It's time for a quick Disney Plus news roundup. Let's start off talking about ABC and the return of a number of big shows. So they're all going to be returning for their mid-season break next year, but it's important to note that they're going to be much shorter seasons than normal because of the strikes. So while the writer's strike was able to end in September, they've been able to work on the shows for about 6 weeks or so to get things ready. The actor strike now being over means that they can return and do some filming. I suspect most of them are going to be starting next week once all the Thanksgiving bits over to try and get them done. Looking at some of the dates of what's coming up, here's some highlights, including The Conners, Not Dead Yet, and Abbott Elementary will all be returning on Wednesday the 7th of February. Then on Tuesday, the 20th of February, we'll be getting the return of Will Trent, The Rookie, and The Good Doctor. And then finally on Thursday, the March the 14th, we're getting the return of 911, Grey's Anatomy, and Station 19. So obviously those are the dates for the United States, and they'll be available the next day on Hulu, and they will also be available on Hulu on Disney Plus in the United States, because we already know that Abbott Elementary and 911 are going to be added to Disney Plus in the US next month as part of this new beta, just ahead of the full launch of that in March. So basically that means that you're going to be able to access Hulu content on Disney Plus if you're a subscriber to both platforms. So that's good. Obviously as well, internationally, most of those shows are Star Originals. No return dates yet confirmed. Sometimes they can be a week or two behind. Here in the UK, Disney likes to hold on to everything until they can do a binge drop, which is really annoying, but expect to not find out full return dates for that probably until the month that they come out. Disney generally are not quite so good with these kind of ABC shows. I'm hoping with the Hulu on Disney Plus launching next month, things might start getting a little bit better because they're all going to have one system and a little bit more communication, maybe, what one can hope. But yeah, so that's definitely interesting. So a couple of quick notes as well. So 911 was a Fox show. Technically, it's a 20th Century Studios show, but Fox kept hold of the rights to distribute it when in the US when they kind of separated, but that's now returned back. They're keeping hold of 911 Lone Star, and that's actually been delayed until next year. So now Disney have got full access to it, so they're putting it on ABC and they're going to be running with that one. Also a quick note as well on Grey's Anatomy and Station 19. They're going to be doing something a little bit different this year. They've switched the sort of released how they do it. And so therefore, we're probably going to see a lot less kind of interconnectivity between the shows, you know, where there's an accident and then they go to the hospital, so you kind of have to watch them both at the same time. They're going to be a little bit more disconnected because there's new showrunners. It might not be a bad thing. I'll be honest, I never really watched them like that anyway. I always tend to watch them a little bit later anyway, and I kind of fell a little bit out with Station 19 because it was a bit dull here and there. But yeah, so there we go. So that's some of the big shows. Obviously that is really, they're going to be huge when they drop onto Disney Plus as well next year. These are some of the big shows, so hopefully you'll be watching them, but let us know in the comments below if you're going to be checking them out. So last week, Nielsen released its streaming data for the week of the 16th of October through to the 22nd of October, and there are 4 different charts, including originals, acquired shows, movies, and a combined chart. Now this, they're always a few weeks behind. It's kind of one of the things of this one. But one of the interesting things that came out of it was in the actual originals chart, it was interesting to see that Goosebumps was able to get more viewers than Loki. So according to this, 594 minutes of Goosebumps was watched compared to 525 million views of Loki. Now, whether or not this is just down to the fact that it was on Hulu and on Disney Plus and there's just more episodes, that helped with it, but very interesting to see how Goosebumps is more popular than Loki that week on Disney Plus. Now, how it breaks down, like I said, it's going to become less and less apparent when we start having everything being shared between like Disney Plus and Hulu anyway, with all the Hulu on Disney Plus stuff. But yeah, I thought this was a really interesting thing. I definitely feel like a second season of Goosebumps is much more likely now that it's beating out a Marvel show. It also shows you the popularity of Goosebumps, because that's a well-established franchise, but also how Marvel is struggling right now to get audiences and keeping them engaged. Yeah, so for Goosebumps to come in, and I never would have imagined that we'd ever got to that point. I've been enjoying Goosebumps. I've still got the last 2 episodes to watch. I'm a little bit behind on it. It's kind of one of those things of, yeah, I'll get around to it. I enjoyed it. It was a good one. I don't think it was as good as Loki, but it's great to see people watching this, and it shows how sometimes a show can just come along and become a big hit for a streaming service and you don't necessarily see this one coming. But I definitely think we're going to be seeing much more of Goosebumps in the future with these great ratings. I mean, you don't see that many sort of Hulu or Disney Plus shows in the top 10 streaming of Nielsen's charts. So, and that's just based on the US. So it'll be interesting to see how it works. But let us know, did you watch Goosebumps? Did you enjoy it? And what do you think of it actually being able to beat out Loki? I mean, I thought that was pretty amazing. Let us know in the comments below. Well, it being Monday, let's now talk about what's new on Disney Plus today. There was a brand new documentary series from National Geographic released called Incredible Animal Journeys, and it is narrated by Jeremy Renner, who you might know as Hawkeye. This series explores how we might think we are the world's greatest explorers, but we're not. Every day, millions of animals migrate across the planet using routes passed down through generations, and it takes viewers through the action as they soar, fly, and swim from the Antarctic to the African savanna, across the Pacific Ocean to Alaska. Lots of different animals in this one and here. I'm going to be checking this one out. It was really nice as well because I wasn't sure this was going to happen, but it also arrived here in the UK and Ireland, in Australia and in New Zealand. I suspect it's going to be airing on National Geographic first in Canada, but a great release. Hopefully we start seeing more of this here in the UK, please. We start getting these shows, so I'm going to be putting that onto my watch list for this week. But let us know, you're going to be checking out this National Geographic documentary. Love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments below. In our comment of the day, which comes from Jeff, who says, is Hulu launching in the UK as well? I've seen a lot of questions about what's going on with Hulu and how is it going to affect internationally and what's going on, and is Disney going to launch Hulu outside of the US and all the rest of it. So the simple answer is, for us internationally, at the minute, we do not need to worry at all. We don't need to think at all about Hulu because it's not really something that they're going to be planning on rolling out internationally. First off, most of the original content that Disney own that is on Hulu is already on Disney Plus in the Star Hub. So shows like Dope Sick, Only Murders in the Building, Pam and Tommy, Welcome to Chippendales, all of those shows are on Hulu in the United States. So we already got them on Disney Plus, so we got that. There's a lot of stuff on Hulu that's in the US that they wouldn't even be able to show internationally because they don't have the distribution rights for. So they can't put them out there. So that doesn't... The idea of them launching Hulu internationally, to do what? They've got no originals for it because they're already on Disney Plus. They would have to license content. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. They can't really launch a live TV service because that doesn't really exist outside of the US. Every country has different systems. Now, there is a very strong possibility that I think that they could easily rebrand the Star Hub to Hulu eventually, especially if they sell Disney Star in India and they want to get rid of the branding of Star. I could see that might be the way we get it. That's the only way I think we're going to end up with like Hulu here in the UK. I think it would help with like in terms of getting the word out and just like, I think especially now that we live in a world where everything's connected on social media and how, you know, I put out articles, I do this video and it is watched by people in countries all around the world, which is still really, I'll be honest, that is a little bit weird when I look at the data sometimes and think, like, you know, people are watching me all over the place. That is interesting, but also does show problems with branding. And I do think if they can kind of focus down on this stuff of just Hulu brand, it's a lot easier than worrying about the Star brand and all the rest of it. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if the Star Hub did get rebranded, but nothing official. That's just my guess on what's going to happen, especially if they sell Star India. But don't need to worry about any of the stuff that's going on in the US with this new Hulu on Disney Plus, which launches in December in the United States. And the way I look at it, this is essentially just the Americas catching up with the rest of the world. That's, you know, they're going to have access to shows like Abbott Elementary and 911 and Only Murders in the Building. They're finally going to get access, but they have to be a Hulu subscriber to get access to it because it's all a bit jungled and stuff. But internationally, do not worry. We don't have to worry about any of this stuff. Hulu's not really going to be a major thing here. Yeah, there's just no real reason for it other than maybe a rebranding of that hub. That might be the only thing that they do. But yeah, don't worry about it. Hopefully we get more confirmation on what's happening in the US pretty soon. But let us know what you think of all this in the comments below. Go check us out over at what's on at disneyplus.com. Like, follow and subscribe, and I shall see you guys soon. Laters.